So everyone knows that ISHIZU TEARLAMENTS is tier 0, but to which extent is it really tier 0? Again, in YCS Pasadena, 26 decks out of the top 32 were ISHIZU TEARLAMENTS, which represents 81% of the pie chart, which is actually quite insane. We can both agree on the fact that it is the best deck of the format by a long shot, because even a representation of 20% for one single deck would mean that it would pretty much be tier 1. Now, if we compare it to other tier 0 decks, could we say that it was better or worse than them? Let's just quickly do Spiral. Look at this freaking picture, man. 92.31% of the top decks were Spiral, which is ridiculous. That's a little more than 10% more than what we had at YCS Pasadena, which really speaks volume on how mega tier 0 that deck was back in its prime. And now let's take another tier 0 deck that a lot of people remember, Pepe. It stands for Perform Mage, Perform Pal, by the way, in case you didn't know, so it's a pendulum deck. In YCS Atlanta of 2016, if I recall correctly, 29 decks out of the top 32 were Pepe, and the only other decks that were not Pepe were basically Cosmo and then 2 Domain Monarchs. And the funny thing is that you really can't say that those decks had a good matchup against Pepe, it's just that they were the other best decks to play after Pepe. Because of how insanely consistent Pepe was and how insanely inconsistent Cosmo and Monarchs were, you pretty much had to win the lottery to win with those decks in that format. Looking at how different things are right now in the TCG, we can actually say that the 6 other decks that were able to infiltrate themselves in the top cut of YCS Pasadena were all decks that were teched out to beat ISHIZU TEARLAMENTS. The Sprite deck plays a lot of hand traps, including the Sprite Monsters, which is very good against TEARLAMENTS, on top of, utilizing a one-card engine that allows you to go very far. And then the other deck that was represented very well was Flunderies, which kinda has a good matchup against ISHIZU TEARLAMENTS when things go your way. So you can utilize the Windbearer statue to destroy your opponents, on top of being able to protect it with the Ryza, and also you can steal a lot of the games with Dimension Shifter. Oh, and Splite could actually play Dimension Shifter as well, by the way. So in other words, 2 different tier 0 decks that were separated by almost 6 years in time actually created completely different results. I actually remember that back in 2016, the most problematic card in the mirror match was Natura Beast and also Wavering Eyes. And right now, the most problematic card in the mirror match would be Abyss Dweller. I want to say that the deck lists that we have right now are probably way more similar than, what we had back in the days, because people were maybe a little more creative, a little more spicy, but now the only spice would be like, okay, how many Bisted monsters are you playing? 0? 9? Are you main decking Mass Change second? Like, bruh, come on. It can be argued that deck building even got way easier over time because we have so many resources at our disposal right now, whether it would be, the OCG metagame breakdown reports or YouTube videos or any other forums in general. And one thing that I absolutely have to add here is the fact that a very bad ISHIZU TEARLAMENTS player is still way less scary than a very good Splite player, which speaks volume on the importance of, knowing how to play your deck, which might have not really been that important back in the days, so skill is actually very important now. I'm saying that because back in 2016, your skill level absolutely did not matter when you played a deck like Domain Monarchs and you bricked against a bad player who played a deck like Pepe and didn't brick. You just lose and that's it, that's all. But nowadays, decks are overall way more consistent than they were before, and the label of tier 0 isn't as absolute as it was back in the days, since the best deck can still lose to the other decks now. With that being said, I still wholeheartedly believe that ISHIZU TEARLAMENTS is the best deck of the format by a long shot, and I still believe that it is something that should be hit in the next ban list, but I also would like to say that I think that it is the most overrated and probably worst tier 0 deck of all time. And if you're into metaphors, let's just say that it is the worst god among the Pantheon. But yeah, it's still a Titan, and I still believe that the deck should get banned. But anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say for this video. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.